So welcome, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much, Harry, for having me in your podcast show.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. You're doing amazing things. And I just love that you're giving finance confidence, particularly to women, they're often the one in the family that's not making the money, or that they feel they've got to spend their money on the family. And, they're not as inclined to make investments and make, I was going to say smart financial choices, but that's not actually what I mean. It's just they feel different value system, that they feel obligated to spend it on their family. So I love that you're, really focusing on that. So I don't know, welcome. I'm just so glad to have you here.
Thank you. I love all the comments that you made earlier. And it's so interesting that I want to expand one point. Women, we make so many decisions when we buy. We influence the toilet paper quality, right? We go to Coles and there's a ton of milk selection, and we know what type of milk to go to. But at certain level in the finance world, women retreat. We don't make that big investment. It's always the man that's running the IPO, the man that's doing the big shareholding, the man that's doing the big investment commercial property. And we need more women doing that.
Yes.
Right? And the men balancing out and go and choose which soya milk they want, almond milk they want, cashew nut milk.
Yeah, there needs to be a lot more balance. But you know what? If in the past we've let it be like that, but now there's a lot more women like you coming through saying, no, hang on a minute, we need more women up there, and the same within politics and everything. We need more women coming through that are going to sort of level the playing field a little bit. So, I love it. Now you've moved to Australia, you're doing great stuff, but prior to that, like you grew up in Malaysia. And so tell us about your childhood. Like, where did you learn the money stuff?
Yes, I was very privileged. I grew up in a business that my grandmother and my grandfather built. So I was sitting on his lap, my grandfather's lap, when he was running the business, because my mom and dad are working full time and I was the eldest grandchild. So my mom wanted my grandmother to look after, and she wanted to, because first grandchild. So I get that privilege, and I get to grow up in that environment where we've got all these inventories, we see them count money, and there was cash money, and we know where the vault is. And my grandfather taught me coins, how to purchase lollies. That was my first transaction and first ability to count. So down the road, we had so many other businesses, but there was a lolly store. So he used to walk me down, and I remembered all right, if I have got 10 cents, I've got 2 sweets. And so that was my education around money, around transaction. And it was maybe 2 years old. And then my paternal grandmother brought me notes. I was upset with her because I didn't understand the power of notes then. So I threw it away, and she had to convert them to a whole bag of coins for me. I was like, I wish I knew the power of notes now and then. But at that point in time, I knew coins only because that was the first introduction to money and money energy. So that was my earliest memory around finance. And then over the years, so watching them transact, watching them going to stores to offload all the goods that we import overseas, and then helping them count, travel with them around, wow, this is what you buy, this is what you don't. And I remember my grandmother, she sat down with me one day. So we had all these goods, and damaged goods sometimes coming from overseas. But she told me, she said, you know what, Jocelyn, we don't sell those goods, we keep them away, and we might donate them to charity because we want our clients to have the best one. Yeah. And I was like, that's customer service. That's excellence. And there was no company values that you write, but it was her role modeling of those values that taught me so much. So I used to just sit in front, when they're doing their numbers and calculate money. I was like, oh, but nobody explained everything in detail. detail, right? I was just watching, and that vision then birthed new visions for me. So that's how it all started.
I love that story. And we often talk about what we learn in school, and often we don't apply half of what we learn in school. And I always say that our greatest learnings are when we travel, when we live in the real world, and when we have to be resourceful, and when we have to be resilient. That's when our real learnings are. And when we're actually watching stuff happen in front of us, we're like, oh, now I get it. It makes so much more sense than on paper. So, and I think that that's another thing too, is that a lot of the time when finance is taught, through the patriarchal system, it's all about account sheets and and everything else. And if your head's not that way inclined, it's very hard to follow it. But if there's someone showing you, you just do this, you do that, you tend to be like, I can do that. I actually can manage that, so I love that story. Absolutely love it. And I reckon that's what childhood learning should be, is get out in the real world and see what's going on, and I love what you're talking about the values, because there's so many corporate, and I know you came from corporate, and we'll get to that, so many corporate businesses have a big thing up on the wall. We value this, we value that, and they're trying to smack it into people's heads, but they're never ever connecting the dots that maybe our staff isn't connected to our values, and maybe I think our values have to be demonstrated. They have to sit within people, and they have to be demonstrated, and they have to be part of who you are. And you're talking about that with your grandparents, and absolutely love that. Now, when did you? No, I know when you did. So I was going to ask you, but I'm just going to say you came to Australia at 17. Now that's really still a kid, coming to a country that's. And I know you speak English. I was going to say speak Australian. We kind of do have our own language, but it's still tough because it's a second language, and you're still a kid. You obviously got strong family ties. And what was that like for you, and why did you do it?
So I had this vision. Growing up, because I was the eldest grandchild, I didn't have many siblings to play with. And also because I was quite ill when I was much younger, I had asthma. So suffering from asthma, you don't play, activities that can jolt the wheezing. So a lot of times I was placed in front of Disney movies, all the Cinderella, everything to do with Snow White. And I'm like, you know what, one day I will live in a country that has got white people. I grew up in a very multicultural background. We've got Indian, we've got, Muslim, we've got all the tribal people. We just mix. It's just a way of life. It was just normal. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And we speak in one sentence, we could connect a whole different language together. It was just in the tongue. And so I had that vision that, you know what, one day I will go overseas and I want to live overseas. The reason why I had a few visions like that was because, number one, my grandparents worked so hard to send their kids overseas for education. Mm. So both sides of my mom and dad, they want their kids to be educated. They would slog, they would do multiple jobs in order to send their kids. They would save, they would never invest in, clothes or anything nice for themselves so that they could send their kids overseas. And so my uncles and aunties had my elder siblings and generation ahead of them save up to send them overseas. And so I follow suit, that sort of family culture and tradition. Mm. So it was natural. It was not, you don't question it because you think, all the cousins, auntie, uncles do that. So it was natural. So you don't question you're 17. That is too young. It's like, figure it out. There's no manual. They don't tell you what to do. Just figure it out. So I figured it out, and I'm quite an adventurer, and I don't mind working out something as I go along. I'm quite spontaneous. I'm like, I'll just figure it out and take the risk. And what's the worst case scenario? If I die kind of attitude. And so I did. I left home. I came to Australia for the first time. It's the first country that I left Malaysia. I had no friends. My dad's friend had his family lived here and he worked in Malaysia. Sorry, he introduced me to his family. I stayed there for about 2 weeks, and then I just had to get rental property to move to somewhere. I didn't know there was such thing as rental agreement. I'll figure that out. I didn't know that I had to apply for electricity bill, water bill. I'm like, okay, this is what you do. You just figure it out. Like, you just make it happen because you're a student. And there was like, because my parents had never been educated overseas either, so they didn't know what to tell me. So I'm like, oh, okay, just go along. So I did.
Wow. What did you study? So you came out to study something. What was that?
So I did commerce. It's like in Malaysia, you only do 3 things. You're very smart, you do medicine. You're a boy, you do engineering. You're a girl, you do accounting. You only do studies because they put you into good jobs and you can feed your family and get a career, so-called, that looks great. Yep. That then it is a success for the family.
Yep. Right. But you went down that path, but then you sort of said, well, nah, I'm not going to continue on with that. But how did you manage though? Like, it's because when you were still in that mindset, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do commerce, I'm going to make my family proud, I'm going to be successful, and then you got no friends. Like, how do you go about building, like learning the language, and like you've got your rental and all that kind of stuff, you still got to work that out as well, and studying and trying to deal with the culture. And by the way, I don't know that it's a great bonus moving to a white country. I think white countries need a good bullet up their bum, actually, to stop being such snobs. But how do you adapt? Like, I know you say that you just do it, but were you fearful? Was there times when you thought, what have I done? I just want to go home to my family. And
so here's the couple of things. I always have enough money to buy ticket home. Yep. If things doesn't work out. That's one, cash. I don't know, somehow or other that was something that was like, I have $1,000. Worst case scenario, I go to the airport and I buy my ticket out home. So that was like my safety net.
Yeah.
Number 2, I fear darkness. There was something in my earlier stage of my life that it was just very spiritual. I don't know what happened, but I fear darkness. And I always needed to sleep around something that has got light. So if the windows have got street lights, it's good.
Yep.
That was a huge part for me to overcome. I go, what's the worst? I'm here now. This dream is bigger than this darkness of fear that I had. And so I live at the front house where there's street lights because I don't like pitch dark. And it was something that I had to overcome. I don't know, it's still something that in a family table, sometimes they bring that up, because they knew that that was a fear that gripped me very much when I was very young. And so I had to learn to overcome that. So I told myself, is it safe to call the police if I'm really afraid? Probably not. Maybe I can call the fire brigade. There's nothing to fix. Maybe I can call the hospital, but what can you do for me? So those things then helped me to really mature up, right? My vision was bigger than my fear. So I go like, this is how I'm going to overcome it. So it was, I have to say, growing up, there was a lot of fear, like fear of heights, fear of just because in Malaysia, there was a lot of cultures that have got spiritual practices that are quite dark.
Yep.
So sometimes you hear those stories and it can be quite eerie. And so I feel that coming to Australia is a cleaner country. Like, I read that it's an Australian country where it's Christian and safe and all that. So I'm like, maybe I'll go to a country where there's those, safety, in my view, in my thoughts, that was ideal. So that helped me overcome all sorts of bunch of fears that I had. And I think what also helped me overcome that unknown is I was asking for questions and I asked for help. So if I don't know anything, I will pick up the phone. Luckily, my uncle lived in Sydney. I was studying at the time in South Australia. So I had his number. Then I'll just, like, what do I do next? And he'll go, oh, this is what you need to do. You need to go to the electricity office and apply for electricity. So I didn't know and had a good relationship with him then. But when I moved here, he became a lot of my support. So that helped me. And then I also asked for help. So I am like no Christian, although we grew up in a Christian Catholic background. I went to a Methodist girls' school. I knew all those, mass and all that. I knew that the safest thing I could do coming to a Christian country in Australia was to go to a church. And I went to South Australia, which is they call it the city of churches. I'm like, I just go to a church. They can protect me. So, and from there, they had communities, right? They always welcome overseas students. So I asked for help, I asked for questions, and I had like going to church, someone from the local community would pick me up because it would take me 2 buses to go to church, for example. And that's how I built my community. Oh, this is so good because it brings me back to all those memories, like 20 plus years.
That is fantastic, though, because it's so much resilience and resourcefulness. And I think this is something that a lot of people lack, is that they're too afraid to ask for help, but, and I tell you what I love that you said in there. I always say this, I love all of it because I just love these stories that come from people on the podcast. It's fantastic. But what you said, something that's really hit home, is my vision was bigger than my fear. And I think that's, we are paralyzed by fear way too often, and we don't fulfill our vision, or we don't even try to go towards our vision because we're so stuck in fear. I absolutely love that. So then you got your job in corporate, but what, how long were you in corporate before you said, this sucks, I got to get out of here? How long did that take you to bust that mold?
So formally 20 years.
Whoa.
But the desire already started around 2013-14. So I've always had the privilege of attending all these conferences, people training, and then gradually in leadership, I then get the opportunity to hire speakers for our conferences and national conferences. And I used to just go, I can see myself on stage teaching as well. Like, I have stories because they share their stories. I can share my stories, but I didn't have that platform, but I had that vision. Yeah. And so I decided that I want to do an MBA and I wanted to do entrepreneurial management. Now, my GM at the time go, why? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll just specialize in entrepreneurial management, which I did. And that was interesting because once I stepped into that, doors opened when I completed that accelerated MBA program. So under the ANZ business arm, there are other licensees that we issue a license to help people set up their practices. Yeah. And so as soon as I completed my MBA, that door of opportunity came up, which then enabled me to practice, still working in an umbrella of the ANZ Bank, but there were subsidiary groups that help people set up business. And that's where my skills were translated. And then including my qualifications and all the years in, my own family business. And I'm like, this is exactly where I'm meant to be. So that's how it translated. And so over the years then, that was 2015. So did that. And then other opportunities started to sprout for me. And I just translated that. And also in financial planning, it's really interesting that Westpac had an arm because you reach to an employee perspective and then there is a ceiling. But what if they want to create their own business structure? Yep. So under that license, they created an opportunity to set up your own business. So that's how all these entrepreneurial skills and knowledge I was able to apply, because not a lot of people want to do that. A lot of people feel, and it's not right or wrong, I believe that if you're called and your mission will direct your path to, and that was just leading me there, because I put out my hands for those opportunities and I go, yeah, that's cool, I'll do that. And so that just, endless doors started to open, back door, front door, side door, window, whatever door. So and then it was natural. So we had the Royal Commission in Australia in February 2019. All the banks decided to, either sell or shut down their arm. And I was with Westpac at the time, and Westpac decided to shut down the whole license and sell part of the rest of the business to another licensee. So I was impacted, but that was the triggering point for me to start my own business name. So I went to register. It was like natural, right? So I registered that. And then part of me still wanted to buy a practice, because I thought, look, I could buy and invest and create a practice. So I work for someone who can then help me create and buy a book to run a business. I thought about that, but I also thought about, do I want to stay with the financial planning world because I had been there for so long? And to a certain degree in Australia, it's very, very deeply ingrained in compliance. And I felt that my skills can expand beyond that. And so I did that, and I go, I'm going to expand my skills beyond that. I did that for 20 plus years in the banking and finance world. I can translate the practical skills I've seen, I've walked that path, I walked that journey. I can share that with other business owners. So I did. And then I started, coaching people in interior design space, in marketing space, in accounting space, in health wellness space, in photography space, in retreat space, and then pandemic opened new doors for me. So you and I are in, the state that we have been locked down for over 1,000 days. In the lockdown, where I had only 5 kilometers to move around, and I have a curfew that I cannot go out after 8 p.m., I had guided by my spiritual team to do courses that I got to know people overseas, 15,000 kilometers from me in the United States. How interesting when I reflected on that the last few months, because I go, while I was so locked down, I was building up expansion network, referral partners in the US, in the UK, in Europe, in South Africa. And it's like, there is such a blessing sometimes in the lockdown, because if it's not for the lockdown either, it will not open such door for me, because I'll be out there. I love being out there with people. So it's just such beauty in the pandemic that I took out of it. So yeah, it's been great.
Wow, there is so much in that. I so agree with you. And, I did the same. I expanded exponentially, overseas, and I was already doing work overseas, but the lockdown really started to pull that stuff together. But, when you're talking about, I'm a big believer in when I do get off the bench stuff, I say to people, you need to know your vision, and your vision can move, but you've got to go somewhere. You have to head somewhere. And once you've got something in your mind, without getting into the whole neuroscience of it, your brain starts to look for opportunities that align with that, and what you're saying is just so spot on with all of that, that I love how you're just like, oh, I could do that. Oh, I might do that. Yes, I'll do that. And then everything starts to align for you. I wish people could understand more and have more faith in the fact that that actually does happen. Once we have a vision, everything starts to, all the opportunities start to align. So I love that. And I love that you go, oh, I could do that, and I could do that, and I could do that. You're so optimistic and so, I can't think of the word, and I'm kicking myself. I can't think of the word, but you're just looking for those opportunities and going, I could do that, and backing yourself. I love that. And you one thing I want to talk about, which was the shitty end of the deal. You did have a boyfriend over here, and a fiance, should I say, and part of that was that you broke up, and that was a shitty thing, and that sort of led you to healing your wounds, which is what's led you to part of what you. But I believe that he broke it off and said, you're not tall enough.
Correct. So he could not give me a decent reason. And I'm like, how out of the blue that, we already agreed on the date, and I was flying home to arrange for all the invitations, right? It's like, I'm not tall enough. I'm like, okay, then I'm not tall enough. But you know what? It took me 3 years because I did not confront the healing earlier. If I had my time back and I had my higher self telling me then what to do, I would go, you know what? Learn to really cut the relationship.
Yeah.
Things like don't contact anymore. Don't go through all the texts. Don't go through all the photos. Don't keep the cards. Don't keep the, whatever that you receive. It's my take, and it could be just my take. Some people prefer to be friends, and you can. And for me, I dated a lot of guys. Relationship doesn't work. I enjoyed those moments. They brought me across, another stage of life. They taught me something. There's always a new lesson. There's always something that we can learn from someone. And so I decided that, it took me 3 years to let go. And it's just 3 years of precious time when I look back at it now. But I didn't have anyone who could give me advice because I was hiding my emotions. I did not have the courage to confront my emotions. And because I grew up always in an environment that you don't go through pain, you don't express your emotions, you got to hide them and feel like,
yeah. Yeah.
And that is not the case to process a wound or go through healing. So by the time when I had processed that, windows of opportunities open up to meet someone else, and you learn, grow up with someone.
Yeah.
But, in hindsight, hindsight is always, so good that release gave me opportunities to, move to different chapters, and endless possibilities open up for different things in life. So yes, for anyone listening to this, there will be pain points in life. I guarantee you, either it's a death, either it's a divorce, either it's a diagnosis, whatever it is. Don't let it hold you back. Process the grief. Have people surrounding you that can love you unconditionally, give you the grace through that period, but don't hold that for years, because you lose the potential you've got. You lose all the gifts and talents that is already within you that the world needs.
Yeah.
So process it, respect that season, but also then, once you get out of that season, find new opportunities, hope for more, look for spaces and places that you can meet more humans. Like there's 8 billion humans on this planet. So opportunities.
There's quite a few people to meet then, isn't there? I love it. And so, one of the comments you make is that in your stuff you've written, is that while professionally I was thriving, my personal life was crumbling. And it's I love that you're talking about this openness of emotions, because we're terrible. Human beings are terrible at, well, we either go one way or the other. We go, poor me, and we spill our guts to everybody, and we try to drag everybody into our shitstorm, or we're kind of got the other angle where I'm okay, I'm tough, I can get through this. And neither of those are bloody healthy or effective. And I love what you're saying, and I've taken years to learn this, is to just be honest and vulnerable about your emotions without being a victim. Just share it, say it as it is, deal with it. That's the dealing with it. But Anyway, I love it, and I, your wounds don't heal unless we deal with them, and I love that you've shared that, because I think a lot of people actually need to hear that, and you just don't function properly unless you're dealing with it. So I love that. Now you have also written 3 books. Now I'm going to read them out now, and you show them. Let's hold them up so anyone watching the video can see. So, Success Codes. And I love that you love your codes, Success Codes. And then the second one is Uncensored, Untamed, Unleashed. There it is. And I love that they all got lions on them. Oh, and the next one is Prosperity Codes.
Yes.
And that's got a lion. What are the other animals on those books? I only just realized as you were holding them
This
up.
is a jaguar.
Jaguar, yeah.
Yeah. But this is just, a woman who has got a future to redefine her success.
Yeah. I love those books. And what's your fascination with codes? Is it because of your finance background?
Because one thing about codes is we all individually have our own codes.
Yep.
So to start off, we have got our thumbprint. That's the code of us. Nobody on this planet have the same thumbprint. So that is your identity code, right? Like that's the one code. Your eye pupil is one code that nobody have on the planet. So you are coded already. There'll be millions and billions of people surpassing us in the generations to come, but they will not have that. So there is a creator out there who has created us, wired us in our mother's womb, that created that code. And I feel that it's so important for us to return to our authentic code. Yeah. Because every human born on this planet, and this is my firm belief, that we have wired and we have come for a season, for a reason. And unless we utilize that code and not live on other people's code. So there are people who want us to live their codes because they feel safe and they want to control us. And we have to take our power back. We also need to learn not to compete with compete with others, because competition is not going to get us anywhere. The world wants us to compete that way. I was very much in a sales environment for a while, and my managers use competition as a way for us to get more results. Now I had to do some healing to clean that, because that is not ideal. And also it's so important that, when we doubt ourselves is because we don't understand our own codes. So, Karen, you are accredited, you are advanced in EDIS profiling, and you know that all of us have got our own dominance, our own stability, our own operational side, and our own flamboyant side. If we study that deeper and we own that, right, and we trust that others will play their part, then the world will hum. The whole world is going through confusion, comparisonitis and conflict. Is because the world is not playing their part. If everyone's played their part, the world will hum. There will be more peace, there will be more clarity. So I invite, even if it's a small starting point for our listeners, start identifying what is your uniqueness. Like, what is so unique about you? Because if you are living in that every single day, you will have so much inner peace beyond what the world is trying to disrupt you in. So it is a daily practice. It is a daily inside job that nobody can stand in to do it for you. And so do that for yourself, because the more you care about who you are, the more you can give out of a deeper self-love. We have been, constantly asked to give more, and we want to give more. But sometimes if we give out of a cup that is not filled, we give residuals. So filling your own mark, filling it to the overflow by doing things like care, sleep, eat well, nourish your body movement, meditate on good things, look for opportunities to serve others from a place of kindness and generosity, and serve out of graciousness, it will make such a big difference. And those things are the things that the world needs right now. So that's my invitation.
I absolutely love that. And I see it like as if we're a little LED light, and the globe is filled with 8 billion LED lights, and most of them are out. or very, very dull, and I always imagine it like you've got your own unique color, and if we switch our light on and we truly stand into ourselves and we shine as bright as we can, even when we doubt ourselves, just kind of just shine your light simply because that's your light, and just bloody shine it and go for it. Can you imagine how incredible Earth would look with all these brilliant shining lights? It would just I'd be magic. I can't even, I get excited when I think about that. And we often, comparison and expectation, completely bloody throw us off what we are. And I believe and you'll love this, I believe we're all born with this magnificent diamond, sitting just in our throat chakra, between our throat chakra and our heart chakra. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful diamond. But as we do things, when we're born, everyone's like, oh, the baby, oh, God. You're everybody's world. So your diamond's like magnificent. But then as you start to walk and you touch the TV and smack you on the hand, don't touch, sit down. So you get celebrated when you start walking, but then you go to school and they say, sit down. And then when you say, mommy, daddy, or whatever you say, everyone's, yay. And then you go to school and they say, shut up. So it's just like, it's my godfather. What am I supposed to do? So this kid who's the center of everything suddenly gets shut down everywhere. And I think that every time, somebody says, like at kinder, oh, my mum says your mum's ugly and I don't want to play with you and your hair doesn't look pretty. And I don't know, all the things that, goes on at kinder. It's kind of like this muck gets put onto this diamond, and because we don't have the skills or the knowledge, the understanding, the strategies, we don't have anything. We let that gunk sit on there, and eventually there's no diamond to shine. Well, the diamond's still there, but it doesn't shine anymore. And we don't ever stop and do that reflective work to say, wait, I've got a diamond in here. I'm special. I'm unique. I'm magnificent. Because we now believe that we're not, and we now believe that there's nothing great about us. So we start comparing ourselves to other people's A games, and then we're not good enough. And we're all guilty of it, but it's whether we stop and say, no, I don't accept that. And we start scrubbing that damn diamond again, and saying, no, I'm going to shine as bright as I can. So we're both saying the same thing, but in a different way. But I just love that. And I love that your books, and I know you're writing another one now, a fourth one now, and you've got another one planned. And, these, I just love it. I love the whole code things. I love that you're saying that, just unleash this magnificence within you. And I don't know. I love it. See, I can't stop talking about this shit because it's suddenly I've just taken over your podcast because I just love this stuff. And
this is so fun, but this is what exactly a lot of people don't get the opportunity to hear. It's because they hear things from the radio, they hear things from the media, they read things about someone else. But what I'm inviting is, find out more about you. This is your opportunity to find out more about you. Because we always want to read about someone else's, story, follow someone, the Kardashians or whatever. But find out about you. You are the diamond. Like, the diamond in the rough. Sometimes we are rough and we just needed the edges and that, cutting, or we need that polishing. Even the best diamonds, right, needs a polish, right? So we are all that. And that's what we need to do more and more, and help others, How can we help others shine and polish their own shapes, So.
And I think that's one of the quickest ways to alleviate yourself of problems, or to feel better about yourself, or to to help you heal. Is that the quickest way you can do that is to serve others, and to support others. And I love that you're talking about kindness too. Like, it costs nothing to put kindness out into the world. And the benefits you receive and others receive and the planet receives and the energy receives and the ripple effect, why the hell won't we do it? So I hope people listening to this and start thinking, oh yeah, what is it about me? And I agree with you. There's not one other person on the planet that has our code. Not one other person. And yes, I do DISC and all that, and there's the 4 types, but there's not one person that has the exact same percentages of each of the types. And we are so we shouldn't generalize. We shouldn't go, oh, you're an I type and you're this, but because we're not that. We're so such a unique combination, that it's marvelous. But and with that DISC too, I know of people who use it against people. It's kind of like, oh, well, you're a D, you're very aggressive, and I don't use it like that. I use it absolutely to celebrate. Oh, what is it about this D type that we can celebrate? How fantastic. And we need all these types. And even after DISC or outside DISC, we need every little unique bit of every single person to be switched on. Jocelyn, I'm loving this bloody conversation. We could go on for hours. I could go down a rabbit hole.
I'll tell you one thing about my DISC drama. So in NZ, we use DISC. And at that point in time, I was in a national role whereby I was running the legislation that I need to roll out. So when you work with people from a legal governance side, they operate very differently. And we invited a company to come in and do a massive full day, team activity day. And so when I was like, categorized, like stand at the corner if you're blue, stand at the corner if you're green, stand at the corner you're red, stand at the corner you're orange, yellow. I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, now I know why all those people are there, because I go into the office, I would be like, good morning. So I quickly learned that I am, because majority of my life, when I was in uni, I worked for retail. So, fashion companies that sell clothes. So, you got to be people person. So that was my natural code. And so when I worked that role, it was a huge learning curve for me to work with people who needed structure. I need you to tell me step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I need you to tell me this spreadsheet. I had to learn. And that was really good as well, because it expanded my skill set, because I am dominant and I'm also very flamboyant in that sense. So the influencer part. But working with those people then helped me run a mega project like that. Yep. So it's understanding, where they fit in, and then learning to communicate in a way that they get us. So it's just such a win-win if we use that tool properly to help us enhance their communication skills. So yeah.
100%, I agree. I use it with organizations to build relationships and to improve interactions, and to celebrate and to say that every single person is a part of the jigsaw puzzle. They're not competitors. They're not pains in the asses. We're all part of the jigsaw puzzle. For God's sake, love each other, But anyway, we could talk about that forever. Now, you started your business is called Seed to Sequoia. Am I saying that right? Seed to Sequoia.
Yes, yeah. Perfect.
And the sequoia is a tree. So tell us about that, because I'm fascinated by that.
So I had this vision that everything we start in life is a seed.
Yep.
Well, as the start, we human beings start off like a seed. Our mom in the womb, and now that the swimming sperm, that's a seed. Tomatoes have seeds. Apple have seeds. Everything have a seed thought, right? Someone said something to you, and then you entertain that. That's in the seed of the garden of your thoughts.
Yep.
So what I wanted my company name is to start with seeds. And what you do with seeds is you will grow, but when you grow, there will be weeds. And what you do with those weeds, you need to know how to groom those beautiful plant that you are nurturing, flourishing, and helping it grow. But when the weeds come, you know when to uproot it in a way that doesn't hurt this big plant to grow successfully.
Love it.
And over time, I want that plant to continue to thrive. my vision is that, from a money perspective, we thought, money doesn't grow on trees. But if you think about it, every plant that we eat from convert into money. If you think about it, money grow on trees. If not, how do we, sell plants and, have watermelons or, broccoli or whatever. So Sequoia is the largest tree in the world in the Amazon forest that lasts generations to come. And so I will be here for such a time as this. And one day I will leave this planet. But I hope that what I saw, someone will carry it on. So books is one of the ways that I want to leave my legacy. My podcast, I believe, because podcast is a way that I share my story. But I hope that this podcast is going to flow into countries that I will not be able to go into, corners of the world cannot go into, but Wi-Fi can go into. So I always think that Wi-Fi can just help me spread the word. So that is just, the vision and the mission of why I named my company that way.
I love that. I so agree with you. Everything starts as a seed. You water it. You've got to water those you have to water the plants. I love it. I love it. Now you've talked about your podcast. It's called Cash Flow is Confidence. How important is cash flow to our confidence?
So it was cash flow in confidence for until 2020, and had this vision, and I went through my own personal journey. So if you listen to all my previous episodes, it was cash flow is confidence, because at that journey, I really wanted people to think cash flows will help you confidently to do more and serve humanity. Without money, we are not able to serve more people. So that was the vision of that season of my podcast. And then I had this name, Magnetic Abundance, for a year. It was birthing in me. And so February 2022, I decided to rebrand. So you still hear the rest of the episodes, but the rebranding is about magnetism and abundance. And so the depth of it is very much around everyone has got a story. And rather than the world trying to push you into a corner, make you small, help you become someone else, not you, I choose the title so that you are encouraging you to be who you are, that your magnetism will attract, that when you are there, you draw people. It's like, the example that you used just now, the light, right? Everyone has got that light between our throat chakra and our heart chakra. If you have that light, you will see. Try this. Your phone has got a torch, right? If you light that anywhere, you see that anywhere. So think about you as a light, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever age, whatever size, whatever shape you are a light to the world. And so Magnetic Abundance is helping you be the magnet to the right people in your world. We will need different parts of the world to function. So you attract the right people in different space, industry, categories, whatever maybe, and just have that abundance of enjoying that. We can technically be surrounded by 150 people at any one point in time because of the degrees of separation. So think about it, if we have that, small groups, and over season we build and we release other people, and then we connect with other people. It's just a cycle of life. So that is Magnetic Abundance.
I love that. I love it. And you are attracted. It's like a magnet. When people are authentic, you can feel it, and you are attracted to it. So I absolutely love that. Now, I'm going to ask you one question. How do we overcome negative money beliefs?
So number one is to recognize that there is that negative money beliefs in you, because our ego will tell us that is not. So here's what I had to really, really watch my thoughts. So I grew up in an environment in Malaysia that money for rich people is corrupted. They always have to do something hurtful to someone to create their wealth. And so that energy was really around me, but I did not really acknowledge that for a while. So it carried in me for many decades of my life. And I had to came into a place where I go, that is actually a block in my world. And that I need to work to unlock it. So for me, I use the tool hypnotherapy to unlock that, right? To go, that was a money energy that really blocked me. If I think that I want to be wealthy and I think that wealthy people are corrupted and I'm not, I don't want to make, I'm happily to pay my taxes. I want to earn my money. I want to be super wealthy and be ethical. Yeah. So that was something that I had to unlock myself. Number one is growing up, people always think that rich people are bad people. The Bible says if you're rich, you're evil. Those subtle money belief system that really, really floats around, or they appear like cobwebs at your house. It's like, it's not going to interrupt you, but it's just cobwebs there. It's like wired there. Those are the cobwebs in my thoughts that I had to clean. Yeah. So that was another one for me, that if I don't love rich people for who they are and I value them, and when they drive a Bentley past me, or they, live in a $30 million house in Sorrento, how can then, when I'm wealthy, the energetic match will be such a mismatch? I will not attract that. And so I need to do my inner work. Now, everyone has got different upbringing, different money beliefs. So my invitation is to recognize and question your own thoughts around money. So a few examples I had worked with my clients is, her dad has told her she's not good in maths. So she's like, I struggle to work with my accountant. Yeah. That could be as simple as that. Yep. Someone who goes, save for rainy day. So they save so much on rainy day that when you save too much, you don't invest in hiring the best people as an entrepreneur because you want to save. So you want to buy the best thing with the least money. Well, the energetic match doesn't come across. So things like that, as a business owner, we have to watch that. New level, new devil. So deal with that as you come along and get help, right? There's so many modalities that we can unlock and clean up. And it is an ongoing work. It is not a set and forget, and you've got it all. So just take the time, recognize one at a time, and in due course, you will always live a flourishing life when you choose to do that. Yep. Oh, I love that. I love that advice. And people can also work with you or read one of your books or all of your books. So there's that option as well. But Jocelyn, I absolutely love this chat. And you just, I love your energy, and I love your optimism. I love your resilience and your resourcefulness. I just love your take on humanity. And it's because you're still acknowledging some of the shit, but you're not letting it drag you down, and you're looking for positive opportunities, and you're looking for the hope, and you're looking for the genuineness and authenticity in the world. And I love it. I love it so much. So now other people are going to be listening to this and say, I love that. Where can people find you? Come and connect with me on Instagram. So it's _Jocelyn Chong _ yep. Or come to my website. If you go into the show notes that Karen put together, yep. Download the gift that I've got in the show notes. It's an ebook. So that way you're on my email list. I only send emails when I feel it's going to be resourceful for you. I don't want to flood your inbox. I'm on the other side. I don't want people to flood my inbox with things just because they have to. Yeah. So I just want to share something that can add value to someone and help them, offer a tip, offer a technique, offer something that I had overcome. So that is how you can connect with me. So grab that ebook or grab my books, and that's how you can connect with me. Fantastic. And your website is jocelynchong.com.au. And absolutely, I will have that in the show notes, and I'll have the link to the free ebook. And I so appreciate you offering that too. It's amazing. And thank you. Thank you so much. You're most welcome. It's been such a delightful conversation, more so soulful conversation, right? Yep. Because, in life, I want to really acknowledge that we do have our shit, and we need to get our shit out of our system by working on us. So that's important, and you will always be good. So Karen, thank you so much for the great work that you're doing on this planet. And you know, you have got so much energy yourself, the work that you do in your podcast, the books that you write, the leadership training and programs that you offer to the world. Keep doing that. The world needs all of us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all that. Those lovely comments. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me. And I can't wait to, I can't wait to meet you one day and in person. That would just be wonderful. So,
yes.
So we will. I say that to everybody. I don't know how I ever going to fit everybody in, but I love these conversations. And people say to me, why do you do a podcast? And I'm like, well, one, I want to share information. You know, I really want to get positive stuff out into the world. People believe in themselves and listen to these stories and then say, gee, if she can, maybe I can. But the second part to that is probably selfish, is that I love speaking to and meeting great people. It's such a blessing to spend an hour with great people. So, and to meet them in person, that's just an added bloody bonus, bit of icing on the cupcake. It's fantastic. So anyway, but thank you so much, Jocelyn. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.